Celebrating 70 years of coverage you can count on. This is KCBD News Channel 11's Daybreak Today.
Now at 6, one person is seriously injured after shooting in North Lubbock. Plus, a new Republican representative is pushing to become the next Speaker of the House, but facing some skepticism. We'll explain. And U.S. officials are working to get Americans home safely as the conflict between Israel and Hamas continues. Those story and more are just ahead. Good morning. Thanks for waking up with us on Daybreak Today. I'm Angie Wynn. It's Monday, October 16th, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're wearing pink today to honor those battling the disease. Meredith McAllister, the wife of our General Manager Greg McAllister, is battling right now. We want her to know we are all behind her, supporting her, loving her through it. Good morning, Meredith. And meteorologist Colin Mertz is in for Steve Devine today, catching you up to speed on a brand new work week weather-wise. Colin, you have a loved one you're supporting as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'm wearing my pink tie for my Aunt Pam, who survived breast cancer several years ago. Pam, if you're watching, love you. But hey, we got a cool morning this morning and just a tad bit warmer than yesterday, but cool enough you're still probably going to want a jacket out there. We do expect to warm up today a little bit higher than yesterday, and that's going to be the case for the next few days as we start to get into another warm pattern. So right now about 42 degrees, still a northerly component on that wind, northeasterly, 8 miles an hour. That easterly component also helping a bit with the moisture, but not very much. We're still moist at the surface, about 82%, I should say. But again, sun comes up, we really get into warming, and that humidity is going to drop pretty quick, especially since we don't have much cloud cover expected for today. Other temps around the area, a few 30s up to the north, mostly low 40s, and then getting towards the mid and upper 40s to the southeast. But in all, again, a few degrees warmer, expecting about low 70s, 72 for our high here in Lubbock today. And Angie, unfortunately, it's going to feel a little warm for a October.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Colin. We are starting now this morning with the police investigating a crash that happened in southwest Lubbock overnight. LPD investigators say an SUV hit a pedestrian just before midnight. This was near 118th Street in Quaker. EMS took him to the hospital with serious injuries. Now, no arrests have been made, but we will continue to update you on the investigation. And one person is recovering after shooting in North Lubbock over the weekend. Lubbock police responded to a call near 3rd Street and Boston last night. Police confirmed one person was taken to UMC with serious injuries. No arrests have been made at this time, and no suspects have been named. Now to another crash that left one person seriously injured in South Lubbock last night as well. Lubbock police called to the South Loop near Quaker this time just before 8. They say one person was seriously injured in a 2-vehicle crash. We will continue to update you on all of these stories on air and online at kcbd.com. And around the globe this morning, the United States is working to get Americans out of Israel and the Gaza Strip as the war between Israel and Hamas enters its 10th day. A State Department spokesperson says the number of Americans killed in the conflict so far has risen to 30, while 13 are unaccounted for. Up to 600 Americans remain in Gaza, but the crossing at the southern border near Rafah is closed. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. is doing everything it can for Americans and the people of Gaza.
Civilians should not have to suffer for Hamas's atrocities. We are now very actively engaged with countries in the region, with the United Nations, with Israel, to make sure, to the best of our ability, that people can get out of harm's way and that the assistance they need, the food, the water, the medicine, can get in.
Meanwhile, some Americans will be leaving Israel by sea today. The U.S. Embassy says a ship will take them from Haifa to Cyprus. And along those lines, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has invited President Biden to travel to Israel on a solidarity visit. The White House is said to be considering the request, but did not announce any new travel plans by President Biden as of Sunday. President Biden continues to pledge his unwavering support for Israel amid its war with Hamas, as well as his administration's efforts to combat anti-Semitism. It's unclear how far both sides are into discussions or when a trip could occur. Looking across the nation now, Republican Representative Jim Jordan is pushing to be the next Speaker of the House. However, it seems he'll be facing an uphill battle due to some in the House GOP. John Lawrence reports.
It's been 13 days since Representative Kevin McCarthy was voted out as Speaker of the House. and the role is still vacant.
It's time to end the Republican Civil War so we can get back to doing the business of the American people.
The Republican conference nominated Rep. Jim Jordan of Ohio for Speaker last week. However, numerous GOP sources tell CNN dozens of House Republicans will vote no for Jordan.
Nothing's impossible, but it's going to be really, really difficult based on what I'm hearing.
To become Speaker of the House, a nominee has to secure the majority of the full House, which, because of 2 vacancies, is 217 votes. That means any Republican, in this case Jordan, can only lose 4 GOP votes if the Democrats unanimously vote for Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
We want to ensure that votes are taken on bills that have substantial Democratic support and substantial Republican support so that the extremists aren't able to dictate the agenda.
The House is expected to hold a vote for House Speaker on Tuesday, according to an email CNN obtained from House Minority Whip Catherine Clark.
We have a lot of people on the bench. I think Jim Jordan will be an excellent speaker. I think he'll be able to get to 217. If not, we have other leaders in the House.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The United Auto Workers strike has now passed the 30-day mark. Employees are calling for a 36% pay raise over 4 years, a 32-hour work week, and cost of living raise. Union members say they will stay on the picket line for as long as necessary.
I got bills to pay, so I don't love being out here, but, you know, I got thinking long term is my future. So, yeah, fair wages sounds pretty good right now.
Negotiators, however, say both sides are still too far apart, especially on the union's demand for the reinstatement of pensions.
That's not a few $1 billion. That's literally tens of billions of dollars in additional money and liabilities. It would absolutely murder the stock prices. It would murder the financial health long term, I think, of these companies. It's just not feasible.
Experts say the automakers are limited in how much they can offer because of huge investments into the production of electric vehicles and plants where they make those. Now we are checking in with Colin. He's in for Steve Devine this morning. Colin, what's going on weather-wise? How can folks prepare for the day?
Well, we have a cool morning, but a little bit warmer than yesterday. And so as kiddos are heading out to go to school, they're expecting to still be around the low 40s and really only picking up once we get that sun good and up. And so right now we do expect to see mostly clear skies through most of the day, actually picking up a little bit of cloud cover off and on throughout the afternoon, but most of that off on the horizon. And so about 42 is what we expect in that morning period, off heading to work, school, wherever. But by the time we're coming home, we're going to be a good bit warmer, up to the low 70s by that point and upper 60s still. And so things are going to be clear, things are going to be sunny, as is pretty typical under these high pressure patterns in the ridge like we saw for a good bit of the summer. And so that's why we have these nice uniform temperatures across much of the area. The only places that are cooler are unusually folks off to the east of the Caprock. There are some upper 60s. The rest, you know, we're expecting mostly low 70s here, about 72 for our high in Lubbock. And so a little bit of heat will carry over into the overnight hours, where we'll see some low 40s getting to mid and upper 40s. Even a few upper 30s off towards the northwest are possible. But again, over the next few days, we're really going to see those temps crank up. Low 80s by Tuesday, so a significant jump in temps once we get into that pattern more fully, and then up to the mid 80s by the weekend.
Colin, thank you so much. Good morning to you at 6:08. Still to come on Daybreak today, a new episode of NBC's new series, The Irrational, airs tonight. We have a preview coming up, plus ranchers are really struggling due to weather, of course. What one area rancher has done to impact his operation, that's next in this week's Focus on Ag. Stay with us. You're watching Daybreak today on News Channel 11.